What is up, everybody? We are here in the VESL. We're going to be covering the Sandhills division of portion of things. We're going to be getting into some Valorant action today. Didn't have any week 1 games going through, but we're going to come into week 2 fresh-faced. I'm Jobin. That is Fundy. I'm excited to get into some high school action.
Yeah, thanks for starting us off there, Jobin. We do have E.E. Smith up against Lee County in our week 2 matchup here. And yeah, as you mentioned, we didn't really get to see too much of these Sandhills division schools there in week 1. But I know I did get to cast some Rocket League last week, and we have seen E.E. Smith and Lee County. We have actually seen them match up in Rocket League last week there, but we have yet to, or at least personally, I have yet to see these Valorant rosters. I know earlier in week 1. We had a few close games. We had a lot of blowouts as well. I really don't know how these teams are going to stack up. And I think we're going to have to wait a few weeks into the season before, everyone really has an idea of how these games might go. These are kind of fresh teams to us. So, we're going in a little bit blind here. I know we're playing on Ascent today, I believe. But other than that, yeah, I'm going in just excited to see what these teams have to offer. This is pretty much our first week here.
Yeah, I think we are just about ready to get into the game. So always good to get the fast start, get into Agent Select, see how things are going to shake out. And the thing with Valorant 2 is, yes, a few weeks into the season, we're going to know how these teams are feeling, how they're starting to fare, but it's a Valorant best of 1. How many times have we seen, even at the pro level, at the collegiate level, that a team gets the side they want, they might get the map they want, the vetoes go their way, and then all of a sudden, maybe, right, you might be the better team, but you started off 8-4 on defense, and all of a sudden, this game just got a lot harder. And, right, the nature of Val, stuff's going to happen, random stuff's going to pop off. So it gives, sometimes it gives the lesser teams a chance to, have a better fighting chance.
Yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Starting defense, for example, on a map like Ascent, I know Ascent has kind of turned over time into more of an even map when you get mirrored comps kind of coming through and stuff. But I feel like for a lot of teams, defense is just the preferred side regardless. If you're able to start on defense, like I believe we're seeing EE Smith here. We'll have to confirm once we get into the game here. Yeah, so it is going to be EE Smith on that defensive side. But yeah, if you're able to start off defense, get yourself to a 7-5 half, something like that, even just that 2-round lead could kind of catapult you when you do go on to that attacking side. So it's always something to look at in the best of 1. It's something you really got to keep in mind. And these agent selects, Joe, but I know we cover a lot of collegiate together, and I'm seeing a lot of nice shakeups from what we see pretty consistently. Harbor Gecko, that's fun.
This is already infinitely better. I like seeing double Reyna in any game because it means both of these players, they want to go out there and they want to throw out a good old-fashioned hands check. That agent is strictly based off getting those resets. You get the overheal. You get so much dueling power in the 1v1s, trying to set up in some of the team fights too. So definitely a more fun comp on the right side, a more unorthodox comp. Definitely not that stock standard stuff you see, but it's Gecko, it's Harbor, Sage, Cypher. These guys all have useful tools in their kit. They've all been in the meta very, very strongly at some point or the other. So, and ultimately in the best of 1, if you just come out here and you win most of your duels and you play some level of good utility layering and everything, you will probably be okay. But the fact that we know nothing about any player, any team, it almost makes the series a little more fun because these guys are probably not going to be playing the default strategy. This is probably going to be a bit more of a fiesta, and that is always a much more fun time.
Yeah, such a wild comp. I can already kind of see how these attacks might play out. You combo up that Harbor and Gecko, and you kind of let Reyna just go crazy. The rest of those Sentinels, both Cypher and Sage, going to provide you just that support. Get those heals, all of the slows and area denial that they provide as well. EE Smith, though, other than the Reyna pick here, this is pretty well a stock standard comp. If you switched out Reyna for KO here, it's a pretty standard Ascent comp that we're looking at.
Yeah, all those agents are pretty well what we've seen a lot of times before, but we are going to see a couple of pistol shots are going to trade back and forth. Looks like it is going to be going the way of Lee County for the moment. They're going to be into the 4v2. They got right on site. You set up that rising tide. You're able to block off so much vision up through heaven, underneath in hell. That is going to be a nice early plant on pistol, and they're going to have a huge advantage.
Yeah, they kind of just had a 1v4 fight, followed up by a 2v4 fight, and the whole lot of them took the advantage, took the win in the round. It was a pretty swift plant. They knew they wanted to just hit that A rush. And yeah, when you have all that utility behind you, especially from the Harbor, you can just kind of run in there and start shooting. There were a few trades to start, and a lot of damage actually put down onto Lee County, but EE Smith, when the kills don't go your way, it's tough to make that retake. Down so many players on pistol round. And a couple sheriffs invested. That's interesting from Lil J.
Listen, if you're playing the Reyna and you're insta-locking that on the Sen, I would expect nothing less than either an outlaw, a sheriff, one of these one-tap weapons at some point. Gives you sort of that equalizing presence, but the Phantom will ultimately be a much better weapon. Simba is going to eventually find the trade, though, so potentially not the end of the world for EE Smith. They are going to stop the first attack. Looks like
Hold
Eclipse
on.
is also going to grab a kill. So you've got the advantage on your eco round. You've possibly taken away a rifle. We'll have to check exactly what weaponry. Looks like Eclipse still just going to have that dose in hand. Gecko is going to come through with Dizzy. Perfectly timed flash. That's going to be a nice setup. Now Cobain pinning down. Looks like Great Boy in just underneath the staircase. Recon Dart is going to clear. Not going to find anything. Clocks is going to work with the Phantom, though. Is going to find one. These rifles are still very powerful. The Bulldog, not too shabby either. Lee County, it's been a bit scrappy, but they still have the man advantage, and the rotation of B is on.
I mean, E.E. Smith, the fact you're in this position to begin with, you're up against a second round, advanced round, a nice buy from Lee County, and with nothing but pistols, you've turned it into this position for yourself. Pick up a Spectre for your troubles.
30 seconds
And
left.
Simba gets to slowly walk towards this site. He hears the plant come through, starting to speed up his approach.
Yeah, we are going to see. I mean, you're in the 2v1. At this point, the damage has already been done for E.E. Smith. You're already considering this somewhat of a good round. If you can somehow find one more, you're going to be feeling pretty good. Mosh Pit is going to be underneath Clock. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Is going to find the rotation and the swing wall bang with the Phantom up into Market. Will cut down Simba. Lee County definitely got a bit sketchy. Came down to the 1v1, but trade came there in time. Clocks ends up getting a 3-piece, I believe, on the round. So nice clean round out of Lee. You are going to be a little bit more on the back foot weapon-wise than you'd like to be, but we did also see E.E. Smith buy a couple of Sheriffs and I think 1 or 2 SMGs, so we're not going to see that same 5 rifle stack we usually would for the bonus.
Yeah, and that's mainly because of forcing light armors, forcing ghosts, forcing a Sheriff from Lil J last round. They could have had the rifles in hand. They could have had pretty well superior weaponry to Lee County in most regards, but they decided to try and, invest that little bit. And to be fair, it did take them pretty far in that round, but they weren't able to snatch that victory. And now this is where Lee County might be able to just snowball this attacking side. You have a lot of resources to work with.
Yeah, it looked like it was a great fake toward A. They set up the Rising Tide kind of in that default, the way they used it in that pistol round, and now they just immediately hit the fast play toward B. You do have the Sage down in the corner, could possibly find the angle. The wall is going to go through Cobain and Eclipse.
Look at this.
Just a couple shoulders away. Eventually the Guardian, though, is going to find that last shot. Looks like it's going to be Alv with the kill onto Eclipse. That's going to be Market Control over to the side of Lee County. They've got Switch on door. Simba has a Sheriff, but he's got the entire team over on the B site. Plant is going to come through, and another kill is going to come through. Nico, nasty little one-tap onto Simba. So now a tough round just got even tougher. 5v2 retake with the Harbor up, with the Gecko up, with the Cypher. Just seems impossible.
You already see this tripwire close as well. Lil J spots it, shoots it out. But you have to contest with 5 players on this site. It's almost an unwinnable position. You can't see Kuru behind you. And Nico goes in for his 3rd kill of the round. Flawless from Lee County. And nothing short of expected after we saw what the buys looked like at the starting of that round for E.E. Smith. Now the eco is just all over the place.
Timeout. I kind of like the early timeout, I guess. If you realize things maybe aren't going your way, you want to get ahead of it. That round, you would have maybe liked to see them not force on the second round. Then you get those 5 rifles going into that last round. You don't have to take a couple Spectres and then that Sheriff. So Lee County did a really good job to manage a couple of sketchy rounds, but you've got a 3-0 lead. You've got the economy advantage. Now this is that time where you can really look to start snowballing a game, especially starting Ascent attack side. Yeah, you've got the Reina, but you're playing the Harbor and Cypher, so you have to imagine on defense, they're going to have no problem locking down a site.
Yeah, that's the thing here. For E.E. Smith, you have to be thinking about this next round as a round that is going to be won, even with kind of the mismatched economies that you're working with. You are going to have, I believe one player had bought up a Marshall there. That's something you're going to have to work with, knowing you're going to be playing kind of just a slow defense, waiting for somebody to walk in. Yeah, it was Lil J who bought up that Marshall.
Hey,
it's the Reina. And that's the thing. There is going to be rifles on this team, don't get me wrong, but it's just scattered firepower. It's not each teammate is kind of up to the same level of equipment. And I think everyone is just going to force it out in the end. Lee County, though, working with all the cash in the world. They're just going to start by running it up mid. Look at this control right now.
And that's what they've been doing a really good job of. They set up the same Rising Tide over on A, but the Arena ultimate, the Empress, actually gets shut down right away. So first blood to EE Smith and Z. Yeah, timing going his way perfectly, but the Spectre from long range actually will get the job done. So Kuru is going to shut down Z. Now it's going to be a back and forth down in mid. The Marshall shot will not connect. Lee County finding the frags. That is going to be 4 in a flash. And that is going to be 4 on the board in this game. That is a nice clean round out of them. Only lost 2 members, got a couple of those rifles out of the hands of EE Smith. And that's why Val can be tough, because when you have this mismatched money, yeah, you can maybe have 1 or 2 people grab a rifle, and theoretically, if you play around it, you can win the round. But the second that person dies and you've got 4 Spectres or a Marshal and a Sheriff with heavy armor, it's looking a lot harder to try to win that round over. So maybe try to see them, you know, commit to a full buy as a team, commit to a full buy, or commit to a full save rather, and try to get something a little more, you know, consistent. Because right now, again, you got shotguns, you got snipers, you got sheriffs, you got it all.
Yeah, and it's tough to contest with people who are just running at you with a Spectre when you've got nothing but a Marshal. Yes, you can hit 1 body shot, but it might not stop you from getting killed. And hitting something like a no-scope headshot, it's, you know, a lot easier than something like an AWP, but it's not an easy task on a moving target regardless. Nico, shots looking good. First one down on Simba. He's able to get a little bit of health back. Lear is up. Sage is down. Bring it back. So much healing. 3 kills to come through. And Nico single-handedly starting the round off, setting up this team for victory. Lee County, the Reyna pick, the entire comp, it might be unorthodox, but it's working well.
Yeah, and that's why Reyna, you know, she's very situational, but when you get into that situation where you can play off these resets, you can keep taking 1v1 duels, get the kill. It doesn't matter if they hit you for 148, you're going to pop the overheal, you get that second flash, you can swing that corner up and toward tree and just take it a 1v1 against Reyna. And when they're on a heater like that, you can just feel it. It's like, okay, I got him, guys. I'll be the next one to swing. Cut down, cut down, cut down. And then the Reyna all of a sudden 9-3, halfway back to the ultimate, because that is a 6-point ultimate. Very easy to get online, especially if you are frying. In Lee County, looking like A once again. Cypher gonna lurk mid just in case any activity happens, but A looks like it's gonna be the choice. But Nico is gonna get right in the diff just a little bit. So Lil J, massive first blood, but instant answer out of Lee County.
There is the res available as well, so Nico's not out of this round just yet. Lil J might have gotten the nice headshot through the smoke. Well, good setup on the sprays there. Does burn out an ultimate at the very least, but all that means is EE Smith is down a player now, and they've burnt an ult.
Look at B.
Yeah, huge rotation from Lee County. Completely cut off mid with that Harbor utility as well. Harbor staying back as well to place that. Allowing his team to get to site so fast. Spike's ready to be planted, and these EE Smith players not too far behind at mid.
Spike planted.
Yeah, I'm going to try to set up some kind of lineup there, but the fact that the bomb got planted, you've got the Gecko ultimate, you've got Thrash, you've got the Neural Theft in the back pocket for Lee County. You're already up 5-0, so they probably wouldn't mind burning one of these to find the win. And speaking of, Thrash is going to get set out of his cage, and that's going to be a detain and a tap over onto Simba. Clocks, perfect timing, and the rest of Lee County, they are showing up as well. Now Lil J, only the Reyna, has to fight through a massive front line from this Lee County side. Has the Empress in the back pocket. The Neural Theft is still available. Wingman's going hunting as well right now. It just doesn't look like there's much you can do, especially when you're going to get tagged by that spy dart from the camera. Yeah, you're going to have to save that weapon. You're going to have to head away. Unfortunately for them, Lee County just too quick to pull the trigger on offense. And when the B site is completely open, that's going to happen.
Immediate call from them to just rotate all the way through T-spawn as well. They didn't want to really deal with mid. They send Alvis mid. He drops his Harbor utility, drops the wall. No rotations through mid because you have no idea. As EE Smith, you can't risk crossing that wall and seeing 5 players standing there. So you just have to sit and wait. Scattered rotations on the retake from EE Smith. Lee County perfectly sets that one up. And then you have all this great utility from these characters in the post plan as well. From Cypher, from Gecko, from Harbor. Perfect characters, perfect agents to just have in that post plant. Z shots back with the Ghost, looking good.
Hunter Shuri.
1 for 1s.
Oh, could possibly Glassboy, but they've already slipped past the defense, so he's trying to play it into main, but they've already gotten to the backside of site. They've already found the plant because they sent a firing squad mid. It was basically just a fist fight all up in the mid lane. It is going to eventually go the way of Lee County, though. This Reyna using the pistols and finding the kills, but the Phantom will do even better, upping the 3K from earlier. That is going to be a 4K for Nico Demos, and that is going to be Lee County moving on to 7-0, and this is that solo queue Reyna demon that you hate to see in your lobbies where he takes over the game. It feels like there's nothing you can do. The pistol's hitting, the Phantom's hitting. Right now, EE Smith just got to see if they can, try to use these ultimates in some way where they can make it play. But the ultimates are also situational for defense. You've got a Reyna Empress, an Omen TP, and a Sage Res. It's like these aren't the greatest tools for defense either.
Yeah, you've got nothing like the Killjoy to work with. No KO null command. You're kind of
Cypher.
You're dealing with no CC almost. Yes, there are a lot of good ultimates on their own, but in the specific situation of stalling a site, stopping this push, Cobain through the wall. Let's Wingman get the plant because you got to make him feel loved, feel included.
Gotta earn his paycheck.
Yeah, that too. No freeloading over here.
Simba right now looking to possibly get paid, but it looks like Nico has a fantastic off angle, and very few people check this corner. The sheriff's on. He's actually going for the knife. The disrespect is unreal out of Nico. Speaking of solo queue demon Reynas, that is as BM as it gets. But when you're up 7-0 and you are farming on all cylinders, that is exactly the kind of play that you can afford to make. They've probably got max money. They've got max confidence. Kuru's going for the wide swing in heaven. Glassboy, Owl Drone, it wasn't going to be enough to tag everyone and find them. That is going to be 8 on the board on the attacking side, 14-6. This Reyna stat line continuing to grow. Kuru hasn't even had to use the neural theft, I don't think, yet all game. So they are just feeling it every which way. And like I said, pretty much max money through 60% of the team.
That's the thing. Like, it's BM to go for the knife, but also, if anyone's going to do it right now, Nico, fair enough.
And it almost worked.
He's been picking up 3Ks, 4Ks pretty much every single round here. In the rounds where he doesn't just entry, make some space, find one and die, right? Other than that, he's picking up insane multi-kills. Look at this Jet and Wine, though.
He could go big if they did. I don't think they're going to clear it. They already think it's cleared. They are going to find one eventually, but now you're the one that's strapped in with them. You are stuck in the steel cage right now. You're going to get hit by Dizzy, and you're going to get headshotted by Alvis. That is going to be a nice, easy cleanup. Jump spot isn't going to go too good for Glassboy. He is going to take a whack load of damage. 4v2 site has been taken. Rising Tide is going to be established. The last 2 kills will be found. Once again, Kuru just... Every single Cypher player I've ever seen, they are going to lurk mid. They are going to not make a sound the entire round, and they are going to walk away finding 2 kills.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Kuru, even someone like the Cypher, they've found themselves at second on the leaderboard here, only behind Nico, who has been having more than a stellar game. But yeah, even someone you'd expect, like maybe the Gecko or the Harbor, to get in on a little bit more action than Cypher, shows you that Kuru, with the smart placement of the cameras, the tripwires, we haven't seen too many cages. Granted, they are on the attack, so not going to be used too frequently. But yeah, we haven't seen too much out of him other than just well-placed tripwires and well-placed shots. Great positioning around the map. Nico gets aggressive, but Lil J, he was in the spawn. Shots coming from CT, gonna take one down. Cobain, does he make it to the site? Harbor hiding in logs, gonna find Simba dropping onto his head. Plant does go down from Cobain. The spray, not gonna adjust in time. Lil J for a second of the round. Trades come back. Player count completely in the advantage of Lee County.
I thought Cobain saw him. Definitely saw him now. The Guardian, though, going to be a little bit tricky. That is a great mosh pit. That's going to be enough to zone him off. You see the neural theft. You see the Sage Res. You see Thrash online for Lee County. They'd be more than happy to expend any one of the 3 to get an advantage, but that's a great little off angle. You are going to take down clocks. The only thing is the timer is starting to get low, and Thrash is still in the back pocket. Wingman looking to run it down and do his due diligence. Cobain is going to help get some help from his little friend, and is going to find the last frag. Lee County on to double digits, and with these ultimates in the back pocket, I've got to imagine they're going to be in good standing next round. And I think, like you said earlier, they haven't had to use the cage because there's not really any utility they have to just, try to respect. They have the jet smokes. Maybe you get an omen smoke or two, but there's no KO flashes, there's no grenades, there's no race to deal with. So you can kind of get through these sites after that first or second smoke with no resistance.
Unfortunately, EE Smith just so far behind at this point. Economy has been mismatched every couple of rounds here. You're seeing, once again, back at it, shotguns, a couple eco rifles, and pistols, sheriffs in hand. Nico's able to just start ripping through these players. Even Z, he's going to make this deep wine play again, but they're kind of ready for it now. One ways from the harbor, not going to do much when Nico is behind you on site. Another 3K for Nico. Lee County flexing at this point. Nico, I think he might have just hit the 20 bomb off of that.
Yes.
Pulls out the classic for the last one. Another flawless round. And I think EE Smith, really your only hope to find some rounds here is at the turn of this half, because even now, it's going to be tough to squeak through full buys for your entire team. I think they might be able to make it happen.
Yeah, just to highlight a quick stat, Nico currently has, I think, 4 more kills than the entire enemy team combined. So if you ever get a stat line like that on the do list and he's popping off, that is going to be a recipe for success time and time again. And with the amount of ultimates online, I could see this getting to 22 or 23 by the end of this round. It looks like it's only going to be a bit of a split defense so far, a bit of a default out of EE Smith, but I think they've got to know this A push is coming. Nico is going to run through tree. The paranoid was perfect, though he could possibly get taken down, but he will win the 1v1 Simba. That would have been a massive kill. They will eventually find the trades, but Nico, who else but this guy? Call his name, call his number. He has picked up the phone and answered, and he is going to go for a wide swing to find a nice, easy third one. It's going to be a res on the Alvis. It's going to be every ultimate online. Glassboy, last one up in heaven, will eventually take down Thanos, but he is stuck in a 4v1. Wingman's going for the plant. The rising tide is coming. Hunter's Fury is about to go through. Cobain is going to find the plant with Little Bro. Shots are going to go through, and it's going to be a backstab by Kuru that will eventually seal the fate of EE Smith, more than likely. 12-0 first half, and everything riding on the pistol.
All right, here on the pistol round, EE Smith, I think for yourselves, for the fans, for me, at this point,
For the content.
you gotta find the one round just for the concept of it. And really, pistol round, it's your time to shine. It's your time to reset. Listen, Nico, he's shooting insanely well. He's a monster around the map, great positioning, and it's tough when you're up against a behemoth like that, not to mention all the util behind him from this wild comp that Lee County has set up. It's tough to deal with sometimes. But it's going to be your best chance, dead even.
Defense. You have a Cypher Sage Harbor on defense. It's going to be an absolute nightmare to get through, but speaking of, maybe just the brute force strategy is going to be the way through, but they are going to get stage vault off, and now the flank has been established. Who else?
3K.
Nico with the 3, and I see 2 low members up in main. He could possibly target. Simba will eventually shut him down. It is a 2v2. You've got Jet on 1 HP, though, so it's not looking too good for EE Smith. Lee County, all you got to do, 1 bullet onto Z, and then Simba. The last bastion of hope here for EE Smith. Lee County, they're going to have to hit the rotation. Dizzy is perfectly timed, though. Collapse, possibly inbound. Cobain looking for the wide swing, is going to get the mosh pit ready, is going to spot one out, looking to recover. Dizzy, he gets a kill with mosh pit, though, so mid-fight, turns and throws mosh pit, finds the kill, and then Kuru will wrap up Simba and wrap up this best of 1. 13-0, flawless execution out of Lee County. Shout out to Nico, I think dropping 26 kills in 13 rounds. That'll do.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you say about that map? Coming into Ascent, a comp that I haven't seen before, Reyna being your main duelist, pulling out Harbor and Gecko on Ascent, kind of just shaking things up a lot. And then your Reyna pulls up, drops, I think, 26 kills was the final there. We'll have to take a look at the scoreboard. We do have it available, but man, what a map from Lee County. EE Smith, it's going to be tough to kind of bounce back from that one, but you've got multiple weeks in the season. You just got to keep on playing. And, I don't want to discount EE Smith because even on some eco rounds, I think they made a lot of mistakes early on in terms of their buys, and I think it just set them back throughout the game. I think there were a few rounds that were definitely theirs to take, but tough buys being stuck with marshals and sheriffs kind of just held them back a little bit in a few of those rounds. But you can't deny the results. Lee County, fantastic map. Nico and Kuru, both standout players. The rest of the team supporting them with all the utility they need.
Yeah, typically 300 ACS in a game is like, I was the kingpin of this lobby. I popped off. To get 576 in a 13-round game just shows that I was God. I was untouchable in this server. No one could hold a candle to me. Nico, obviously, as you said too. And I think, right, playing that comp on defense where you basically have no way to defend. You have the Sage, which are going to go play over on A. That Sage has no cross-map utility to drop that slow. Once that Omen and that Jet Smoke go down over on B, there's really no other way to defend that push. You have a double flash with the Reyna and the Dizzy. Harbor comes through and puts up the wave. There's just too much utility. And I felt like the other comp maybe would have been better suited to start on attack and just defense. Playing defense with a Reyna, a Sova, and a Sage, sometimes it can be just a little bit tricky, and you really got to be able to hitting your shots. And if you're losing the gunfights and to have a lack of util, 13-0 is a likely result.
Yeah, good analysis there. It's a tough comp to kind of hide behind your util on defense, whereas going into that last pistol round, we saw drop the Sage wall right there. Yeah, they get a few kills, but we're able to just even it out by splitting them up with our util. Mosh Pit even found a kill at the end there. Mosh Pit's tough to find kills with, but it's great area denial, and it's great ways to clear people off a site. And when you trap them in Boathouse, you can also find kills with it. But I think we're ready to pretty well wrap it up here. Jobin, it's been a pretty swift game there, thanks to Lee County. So I'm being told all of our other broadcasts, they've still got a few more matches going. They're still within their games for tonight. We only had the one match between these schools here today for our Sandhills division, but check out all those other matches, all those other streams on VESL. I've been Fundy, joined by Jobin. It's been an awesome time casting EE Smith versus Lee County. Week 2 of Valorant. Lee County finishes it off with a 13-0 on Ascent. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a good one.